Ernest. Many a night I walked them floors over you. And Charlie, I gave you your country pride. And Mamel, I even taught you how to stutter. While I taught the Duke how to walk. Very good, darling, put a nail in Walter Brandon's shoe. Folks, I was the guy that taught the DJs how to say. That was Ronnie Prophet.
First guitar?
My first guitar cost all of $4, and I got it from my cousin Homer Golly, and I literally took all the paint off it. I wore it off, and the next guitar was a 1995 guitar from Sears catalog, Simpson Sears, and the next one was a real guitar, a Martin D18, and I was about 12 years old when I got my 11 or 12 when I first got my first guitar.
And I guess besides Gloria and your wife, would you think a guitar is your best friend in the world?
That's a good question. Yes, the guitar is really. I've got a collection of, I think I've got 17 or 18 guitars. They come and go, but more arrive than the ones that leave. I fall in love with every one of them, and they're exceptional. So they're like my babies. I've got Fenders, Stratocasters, Gibson, Ovation, PV, just all kinds, and some no-name guitars too for a certain thing. Taylor, I love Taylor. I just got a remake of a Fender Telecaster that originally came out in 1972. It has a F-hole back here, and it's partially hollow, so which makes it a little bit lighter, but it's got the original kind of pickups. And they're worth about $2,700, and that was my birthday present to myself 2 years ago. I've only played it in front of an audience once, so they're special.
Most people dream of getting a Fender guitar, let alone meeting Leo Fender. You tell me about that?
Well, it was just about the time when Leo Fender, he had a convention for the world distributors, and he had it in Fullerton, California, where the manufacturing plant was, and just about that same time he ended up selling the entire company out to CBS. But I was fortunate enough to play a show for his group of people, about 200 people from all over the world. And when it was over, he said he enjoyed the show, and he says, when you get back home, you'll have a little gift from me. And it was a brand new, right off the press, Stratocaster. It was black with a gold sunburst. I still have it. It's treasured. So it's special to me, but Leo Fender gave me that complimentary. What a gift, huh? Wow.
Phantom of the Opry. What's the history and story of that song?
Phantom of the Opry. Well, it was a song that was written by Dick Feller, John Knowles, and myself. And around the early 80s, Hank Snow was celebrating his birthday. Now, to explain the song is about, it's a spoof on the play, or the Broadway play, Phantom of the Opera. But it's not the Phantom of the Opera, it's the Phantom of the Grand Ole Opry. And talking about all the wonderful stars of the Grand Ole Opry. And I'm invited to perform at Hank Snow's birthday party. And it was in the presidential ballroom of the Opryland Hotel. And there was Roy Acuff and Minnie Pearl and Johnny Wright and Kitty Wells and Johnny Cash and the name and June Carter, and the list goes on and on. From the mayor of Nashville, just everybody was there. And in this song, I relate to all these different people. But never thought of it when I decided to use the song on the show. And the last line in the song is, and that was, and we're still moving on with Hank Snow. That's the last line of the song. And so I get into the song, I'm on the stage, and I realize I'm naming all of these celebrities. And of course, the names of Hank Williams are in there, and many celebrities that have already passed on. But I hardly remember the lyrics. I mean, I was really shook. And then come to the last line. Well, and Hank Snow still moving on. Cy True was a master at putting together country music shows for television. He's from Halifax, Nova Scotia. And I was very fortunate to have Hank Snow, or
Now you got Hank going.
I was very fortunate to have Cy True as our producer of Grand Ole Country Show on CTV. Well, we were into the sixth season, and for some reason or other, we were changing hotels where we always kept our people at the Ramada Inn, and this time, for some reason or other, maybe they give them a better deal, I don't know, but we found ourselves at the Inn on the Park in Toronto, and we were going to be staying for that season at the Inn on the Park whenever we were in town shooting the show at CTV, at CFTO Studios, Glen Warren Productions. So we went over, Cy and I went over to the Inn on the Park and decided, let's find a room that has plenty of big table space and it'd be great to put the show together and all the scripts and everything. So here we are looking at rooms. We went into the tower, and when we went up to the 18th floor, looked out the window, and I suddenly went through my mind, and I turned to Cy and I said, you know, if there's ever a fire in this building, you're a dead man. And that was all. That was in the fall, November approximately. The next taping was, I think, the first week in February. I'm driving from Nashville, Tennessee, in the motorhome, and I'm about London, Ontario, and the news comes on. There's a fire the previous night at the Inn on the Park, and it's in the tower, and there's 5 people who have lost their lives. When I arrived at the hotel, the manager took me aside and took me into his office and told me that Cy True had passed away in that fire. So, lost a great friend. Really did. My first visit to Nashville was in the late 60s, and I made a phone call from the Noel Hotel to RCA Studios on Music Row, and I asked for Chet Atkins, and the person that answered the phone said, I'm sorry, but Mr. Atkins is gone to lunch, and give me your phone number, he'll call you back. And I said, sure. And give him the number of the Knoll Hotel and left. And believe it or not, the next night I'm on the stage in the club, and in walks Chet Atkins and Steve Scholes, who was the president of RCA Victor Records at that time. And he sat in the front seat. And Chet said, nice to meet you. I got your phone call. What a man. Scared me to death. There was my hero, sitting in the front. But I went on the stage and did my little show, and we became very good friends. He wanted to produce me. He never did produce me. We worked shows together. He appeared on my television show, and that was a great honor. And then later on, we both received a gold album from a project that we did for handicapped children in the province of Ontario. And we were both very grateful because we sang a song. It was a Christmas compilation CD with just everybody on it, from the Oak Ridge Boys to Michelle Wright, Canadians and Americans, both on the CD. And it went gold. Sold gold in Canada. So I cherish that gold CDs on my wall in my living room at home.
I guess it was the late 70s I first started working with you, and I got a chance to see a lot of musicians and talk to people. You were a very business-oriented entertainer. You took care of business, And you were a bit tough to work with for different musicians, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden there was a change in your life. I'm not sure what the change was, but you became a different person somewhere in the 80s. I'm just wondering what happened.
That's an off-the-wall question. I changed attitudes, lifestyle, the whole persona changed when I met somebody by the name of Glorianne Carriere. And prior to that, business was it was business. But Glorianne had been in the banking business, and she said, you can hurt people's feelings by the way you talk sometimes. And she educated me as far as to be nicer to people. Because sometimes it's, hey, I want the check now, otherwise you don't get the show. Okay, turkey? And that would be, straightforward. But I came there to do a job, and if the person was dancing around, which maybe made me think that, okay, boy, this looks like maybe I might not get paid on this job. So I never second guessed somebody. It was, let's make sure that we're all on the same page. But then Glorianne came along, and she's a sweetheart. She was dealing with people over the counter. She was a bank manager, in Estevan, Saskatchewan. And mind you, she was singing and performing, besides that. But she was an incredible change in my whole lifestyle and my thinking and my way of doing worldly things. So I give her the credit. She doesn't even know that she might see this someday. If you're watching, honey, I really do love you.
It sounds like she taught you what love really was.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, compassion. Because in this life, it's not people tend to get screwed, as they say, and you do. I have had it happen where they cheat you out of the money that you're supposed to get for the gig, or you didn't get the percentage you thought that you were supposed to get, and first thing you know, it's over, and somebody ran off with your goodies. And so after a while, you start to protect yourself, and it changes your aura, how you handle stuff. So then you get a little hard-nosed, and you start saying, you don't let it get out of hand, but you make sure that you get what you're supposed to get when you're supposed to get it. But there's ways of doing it that are a lot smoother. And I've learned that.
How do you enjoy her joining you on stage? What's that feel like?
Well, we've grown into a lifestyle like George Burns and Gracie Allen. We're two peas in a pod. We think alike. We work alike. She'll start a sentence and I'll finish it, or vice versa. And we've been together like two little bugs in a rug. And life is good. We enjoy each other. We love each other dearly. And most of all, we respect each other's talent. And that is just wonderful to find a companion to spend your life with and adore and love. Can't beat it.
Yeah, that's cool. You were talking yesterday, we were driving down that road, and the river was flowing, and he said, do you know how long this river's been flowing? Thousands and thousands of years, and these mountains have been here. It seems like wherever you go, there's mountains or hills. You grew up in the Laurentian Mountains,
Yep.
down to Tennessee, the big hills in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're in Branson, Missouri. Do you think there's something in those mountains and music? Is there music in those hills? Is there something geographical that draws you to those regions and your music?
Music is everywhere. Really it is. And I don't think it takes mountains, because we've got a great lot of prairie in this country, in Canada, and it's flat, and there's a lot of great talent. Glorianne come out of the prairies, flat. Glorianne was so unused to a hill that there's an overpass outside of Regina, and it's only 15, 20 feet over top, or maybe 30 feet total, and she and years ago, she couldn't look out the side of the vehicle going over that overpass, which goes over number one. And it never, she's musically inclined. It's a good question, but I just happened to grow up in the hills, and I love that atmosphere. I love the terrain. I love what's around the next corner. I lived in Florida back in the 60s. I got so bored with it. Not that I should get bored with the prairies. I love the prairies, but still, I prefer the hills and what's around that next corner, like I just said. And maybe it's adventure. Maybe it's a new song. Maybe it's a new story or another wonderful human being to meet.
When you were a kid in school, what was your favorite subject?
Geography. I love geography, and we need geography in our schools. We really do. It's sad to kids growing up today. They don't know what town or place is north of them, south of them, east or west. They've totally lost. Nobody has said that. We got the prairies out in the west. We got beautiful east coast. What ocean is that on? Don't know. Not that they're all like that. I live in Missouri, even when I lived in Tennessee or Florida. But even in states, you say, what state is north of us? Don't know. They don't know. Iowa is north of Missouri. Nebraska is west of it, and Illinois is east of it, and Arkansas is south of it. But then again, I'm also in the music business, and all of us have traveled, so we know the world pretty well. We have an advantage, Yeah. Go on.
You think as a kid, besides the radio, geography was another way for you to kind of see the world and not leave home? No, not just yet. An escape.
I wanted to personally escape. I really did. I wanted to get out and see what was down the road. Other countries. I wanted to see this whole planet. It's become very small in the last few years. As a kid, it was gigantic, but with all our astronauts flying around and Sputniks that turned into satellites that now beam me up, Scotty, and what have you got in your backyard over there? Well, I just touch base with my satellite, and I see your pumpkins are growing real well. But boy, and I have always been into electronics, and when the computers came along, I love all that stuff.
What about your guitar? How does electronics today change from what your tape machine in the 50s?
Well, I'm sitting here at the controls and talking about guitars. Let me turn this thing on, and now what you would get would be. Now that's the thumb and the fingers playing with a little bit of slap back. But see there's the note. Now let's add some delay to it, all right? Which is about 350 milliseconds. That same note can be played, and it'll play it over and over again. We used to use tape because sound would go on the tape and go over to the playback head and repeat. And you can make it repeat once or many times just by turning the volume control on the playback, right? Well, let's take and multiply. Turn it off and play this. There's the bass lick. Now let's add that delay, which will play the bass lick over and over. It'll double now. See, now you got two. You're only playing the same one you played before. Now play the melody. Nice, eh?
Yeah.
Just by the flip of a finger.
How many things can you do at one time?
Well, how about there's two melodies. Yankee Doodle and Dixie. Here's the chorus. No, that's not the chorus. Let's do three things at one time. The thumb is playing the Yankee Doodle, and Dixie's been played with the fingers. So, let's add a third one to it, okay? We've got two melodies going, let's do three. Silent night, holy night, now MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O.
Okay, I'm just gonna throw a couple of names out here. Well, you can help me with some of those too. The famous people, but I want to hear your Duke story.
Oh my gosh. This goes back to sometime in the 70s, I guess. And I'm in Bakersfield, California, visiting with Buck Owens. And, Evel Knievel was there. There's a whole bunch of entertainers from Nashville. And we were all there fundraising for the local hospital on behalf of Buck Owens and playing golf. And we're out at the country club, and up comes Mr. John Wayne, giant of a man. Now, I used to do a little bit of a clown thing at these golf tournaments. That particular day, I am dressed, listen to this, I'm in a pink crushed velvet bib overalls with a shirt that was different shades of pink in checkerboard pattern. And I got white boots with thick soles and high heels. And there is one of my heroes in front of me, 10 feet away, and I want to meet him. I want to get my picture taken with him. And I walk off and I said, I just want to say hello to you. My name's Ronnie Prophet. You're one of my heroes. And I'm shaking hands with him, and I had a photographer, took the picture, and I'm thinking, in his mind, he's looking at me saying, who is this squirrel? Or, well, let me tell you, Pilgrim, get this turkey out of here.
How'd the picture turn out?
Good. I only got it in black and white. Do I ever want to see that pink again?
You're an American citizen and a Canadian citizen. What do both countries mean to you?
Ooh. I have the best of two worlds, two wonderful worlds. And I love both countries. I love the world, really, because we live in a fantastic place. We're in a fantastic time. And so I look at all this stuff so positive. And I've traveled so much. But it's really nice when you come to the border, because I walk up and I show them my Canadian birth certificate and my driver's license from Missouri with my picture on it. When I go back to the border, I show them my passport with my picture on it as a U.S. citizen. And I've paid taxes in both countries, depending on which I'm doing. I still have part of our farm in Quebec that was left to me after my parents both passed away. And so I've always kept that. I've never lost it. And that's very dear to my heart. It's a property that's near Kilmar Mines, not too far from Calumet, Quebec. And if you walk to the front tip of the mountain, which is 9 feet up above the Ottawa River, you will see Grenville Bay. It's 2 miles wide there. It's beautiful, just gorgeous. You look right into Ontario, and that's flat, so I just kind of back off because I really like the mountains.
What you guys were touching a little bit upon this earlier, but what do you remember about your dad?
I don't remember a lot. To remember about my father when you're 7 years old. 7 years old in those times were nothing like a 7-year-old's mind today, because we're today we're dealing with computers, we're putting men on the moon, we have things out outer space. Then our world was that little farm. We had no electricity, no running water, and no telephone. And you're pretty well isolated, and you might go into town once every 2 weeks to get groceries. The only form of communication you had was an old car battery running a Motorola radio that you picked up CFRA Ottawa or maybe CJOH in CJAC, I think it was in Montreal, or CFCF radio, and it was all AM. And it was at the end of the Second World War. It was a gloomy time, and he was sick. Victor Prophet was a sick person and spent most of his time in bed in the last couple of years. And he died in 1945, and I was just a little guy. So I never got the chance to enjoy him as a father. And so I miss that. And
you miss milking cows?
No, I do not miss milking cows or cleaning stables. Feeding the chickens wasn't too bad. Slop on the hogs, yeah. Take buckets out there and feed them. But yet that's what we made our living out of. And thank God people stay farming and stay milking their cows, and that we have farmers. I have a lot of respect for those people because they feed the world. They really do. And their area is getting smaller, and they've got to still produce the same amount. They've got a big job ahead of them.
If there's any advice you could give to your two boys about life and love in general, what would it be?
I, in the past, have given a lot of advice to both my boys, Jimmy Prophet and Tony Prophet. Tony lives in Vancouver. Jimmy lives in Nashville, Tennessee. They're both connected to the music business, but they both have other businesses. And that direction came from me, saying don't stick to one thing, always have an extra, finger in the pie. Don't be afraid to climb out on that limb a little bit further than everybody else. And don't be afraid to take a chance, but don't be foolish about it. Respect your neighbors. Respect God. And remember where you came from. You might have to go back there one day. So don't turn your back on the ones that you might leave behind for a while. So, and life should be good to you. And pass your knowledge on to your children. Don't just let them grow up on their own, because they'll learn a lot more if you're by their side and you're their anchor. When they want to fly, their wings will get big enough that they can take off and touch down every once in a while. I did. There was a mama and a papa and a boy who was grown, who wanted to marry, have a wife of his own. He found a young girl who treated him nice. He went to his papa to ask his advice. His papa said, son, I have to say no. This girl is your sister, but your mama don't know. Oh, is me. Shame, scandal in the family. Oh, is me. Shame and scandal in the family. Now there's 22 verses to this. We could be here all day. Let's go to the last verse, the 23rd one, okay? He went to his mama. He covered his head. He told his mama what his papa had said. His mama just laughed. She says, go, man, go. Well, your daddy ain't your daddy, but your daddy don't know. Okay, your turn.
I'm Tracy Brown, and I'm here with my good friend Ronnie Prophet. And I must say, Ronnie, that we've got quite a history. We go back a long way, and our lives have just intertwined
I would say I'm guesstimating at least 45 years, because it goes back to when I was a kid, early teenager, listening to your father, Joe Brown, on the radio on CFRA, and then on into the road shows. When I went to the States, came back, got my own TV show. You guys had your own television show.
We guested on each other's show.
And we were guests on each other's show. And of course, Joe and I mean, we have never had an argument in our whole lives. And we're dear friends. And I remember one night, you don't know about this. You guys were sleeping. And it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. We'd done a show together up in, I think, probably North Bay or Sudbury. He's driving the bus. And I'm sitting in the jump seat. And it's 4 in the morning. And all of a sudden, there is this huge, giant monster that went across the front of the bus, which was about a 1,800-pound moose. Full rack. And if we had been a split second earlier, that moose would have went through the windshield and killed both of us. And it was just like, whew, and the two of us, I mean, just thank you, Lord, for getting us, and we were, you're going 60 miles an hour. I mean, it's over.
Yeah.
Something's like it's hitting a building. And
Lots of times like that.
yeah, there was another time when we were all working together on the show when Joe had a heart attack and passed away. We lost him.
Mm-hmm.
Good friend.
In Chesley, Ontario. That was a tough night.
Mm-hmm.
Very tough night.
Yeah, it's not something you forget easy. No.
Nope. It was a tough one.
Yeah, but good times too. Seeing you guys win so many different awards and all that. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Couple military tours.
Oh, the military tours. Oh gosh, there was people that we did things to on that tour.
Cruel things.
I just lost it there for a minute thinking of your dad, but boy, Ted Larrabee. Ted, if you're watching, listen, we had some good times on your behalf. I could remember we always have something going on with the finale of, what would we do, 6 or 7 shows. We were at the Alert in the North Pole. We do Gander, Newfoundland, and
Queen Charlotte Island.
Queen Charlotte Islands, also Yellowknife and Nuvik. I mean, these places. But you see, we went up there to entertain military and people that were doing the satellite security for Canada and the United States. And we did Christmas shows because they'd been stuck up there in the weather. And it was usually about the middle of December.
Yeah.
Remember, we'd closing in Masset, in the Queen Charlotte Islands, and I had my fog machine. And the magician, he could never see when he was juggling the balls where the balls went because we had the fog going on, fog machine going. And then I think it was Randall Prescott got Ted to dress up as a frog, and he got him to sit on that little cart, and he was pulling him across the stage while I was singing, and Glorianne and I were both doing our songs, and all of a sudden here comes this frog, and I remember Ted pulling the frog's mask off, and Randall had already told me what he was going to do, so I had a great big pie waiting for him. A whipped cream pie waiting next to the speaker down in front of me. And when he took that mask off, he said, "Gotcha," and I said, "Yeah!" And give him the pie in the face. Of course, everybody had a big laugh. We're really sorry. No, we're not. I don't think so.
No, we had a lot of fun together. That's for sure.
Lots of miles, really.
Remember seeing you at the Carousel Club too in the 70s.
Speaking of the Carousel Club, the first thing I think about that place, I had it for 16 years. And thanks to a wonderful man by the name of Boots Randolph, because it was originally called Boots Randolph's Carousel. And nobody knew who Ronnie Prophet was when I went to Nashville. And I got a job there, working 6 nights a week. The old thing, 30 on, 15 off, all evening, and I was doing a solo. They had a house band, but I worked the solo. But Boots would work it maybe once a week, maybe twice a week, maybe once a month. But when he was there, everybody came to see Boots Randolph. And thank you, Boots Randolph, because he had a full house.
And they saw you too.
And they saw me that half hour between his 2 one-hour shows. And in 6 months, we had a Ronnie Prophet following. And that turned out to be 16 years.
Wow.
And during that time, you see, I had the club while I had the television show in Canada on CTV and also on CBC. And you know how I got that? Thanks to another guy, big tall fellow.
Tommy Hunter.
Tommy Hunter is right. Hadn't it been for Tommy, because when I was in Montreal, you think I could get an audition to get on television or a record label? We really had nothing going, you know, unless you were on the inside and knew somebody, then you didn't get a shot at it. And so it was Country Music Week in Nashville, and Bill Lynn, the producer of the Hunter Show in that time, laughed all the time, and Tommy Hunter came in. Tommy later told me the story about him arriving at the airport and renting into Glenn Campbell. And Glenn had done Tommy's show. And Tommy said, where do you go? You know, what do you do in Nashville? And Glenn Campbell said, well, go see Ronnie Prophet. So by this time, I got a little bit of notoriety. Well, they got to the Hyatt Hotel in different cabs and met in the lobby. And they said, oh, hi again. He says, well, you still going to see Ronnie Prophet? He said, I guess so. And then I think Hunter said to Glenn, he says, you know, this is the second time meeting. If we're in the same room, we're in trouble. But then they all came down to the club together. And I saw them walk in. So just at the end of my spot that I was doing, and we had a full house. I mean, it was packed to the gills. And I had one more song to do, and I said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to a fellow that has his own television show, which Glenn Campbell had at the time, called The Good Time Hour.
Right.
I says, he's a good, tall, handsome fellow, sings wonderful, won a lot of awards, and has his own TV show. And ladies and gentlemen, here is. And Glenn Campbell's like almost out of his chair. And I said, Tommy Hunter. And so I had Tommy take a bow. So my closing number was Help Me Make It Through the Night. And I'm, take the ribbons from your hair. And then I would go into the duck singing. Take the ribbons from your hair. I can't even do it today. And up would come Sammy Smith. I knew Sammy was in the audience. She was the one that had the big hit. Yeah. She hung around there all the time. Her and I were great friends. And she'd come up and she'd grab the microphone and she'd say, Ronnie, that's not the way you do my song. It's this way. And I'd just drop from, she sang it in B flat. So she would go into it. And all of a sudden I hear the drums. I looked around, there was Glenn Campbell. He couldn't stand it not being introduced. So I gave a big round of applause to him. And then Doug Kershaw comes in he's been sitting at the bar. And you've been there. I mean, everybody. Yeah. You'd see Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings and Kenny Rogers. Well, anyhow, I go down to the table then and say, hello, Tommy. I never met him before. Seen him on TV, but he was my hero. He starts off by saying, you know, you should come see my show. At the moment, I said, well, I tried to get an audition for the, you know, and no, but I handled it. I said, I'd love to do your show. And rightfully so, I went up and did the show. Some of the executives were watching the taping, and they come up to me and they said, we like what you do. Tommy's going to be taking a break this summer instead of doing a summer show. Would you like to have that position? And I just said, when do we start?
And you did 2 years of summer replacement?
I did six 1-hour episodes that summer. The next year I did 11 1-hour episodes. Ooh. And then Ted Delaney, I think that was his name, from CTV came over and asked for, he set up a meeting at the Inn on the Park in Toronto. And I said if I was interested in doing a half-hour show, which Ian Tyson was
was leaving.
Retired. He was retiring after 5 years of doing the show. He was tired of doing the TV show. Mm-hmm. And I said, what do I got to do? He said, well, we need to make a pilot. And that's a pilot that's a, you know, a half hour or maybe 40 minutes of a television show and present it to all the people that buy it, to demonstrate it. Yes, it's a good demonstration. Great. So he wants to speak to me, Jesse? Let me see. And who's it? Who's this? Who was it?
It's Johnny Carson. He wants to know if you want to golf next weekend.
Oh, Carson. Hey, how you doing? Yeah. You and Ronnie Millsap? You want to play golf? Are you kidding me? Wow. What do you mean $100 a hole? That's a lot of money. You want to? Millsap wants to put up $100 a hole. But you're bringing somebody else? Who? Ray Charles. And he wants to play golf too? Wow. Hey, I'll play for $100 a hole with the Ray Charles and Ronnie Millsap. Absolutely. What time? Midnight? It's just a joke, okay? You know what I got out of this thing as a kid? All the way to Wheeling, West Virginia. WWVA, Wheeling, West Virginia. And every Saturday night was the jamboree. And we'd get it in the car. That was the fun part about it.
Really?
Yeah, because it came in through clear. I couldn't get it in the house, but in the car we'd get it.
So you'd go sit out in the car.
So if we were going to Harrington or Lachute or Hawkesbury, if there was a gully, you'd lose it. So you'd try on the gas as hard as you could go and get up the next hill and tune it in. And if there was something like maybe Chet Atkins would be, or some a great star that would be on the show, we'd stop until they'd finish their tune. Yeah, some good times.
Power radio. Dad told me stories too. That was your house radio? Was it electric?
Earlier, listen. Where I was born, we had no electricity, we had no running water in the house, and no phone. And the reason I had no phone is when my dad was living, my father, Victor Prophet, passed away when I was 7 years old. So really I didn't witness much of my dad. But he never put electricity in and didn't put the phone in because he said, if you do, the women are not going to do the work to be on the phone all day.
Are you serious?
Yes, that was the idea. And about 2 years after he passed away, my brother Elvin and some of the neighbors got together and we put the power poles in and put all the electricity in, got a phone, and boy, we were uptown in nothing flat. And when I'd walk into that barn in the mornings at like 5 o'clock every morning, do the chores, before I went to school, I'd flip the light switch on and had hooked up to a small radio, half the size of this one. And we heard music from all around the world. Just fantastic. It was like a piece of magic. And then we got our first TV. Remember getting your first TV?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I never did find I never found I never did find the remote control.
Dad got us one of those gels. You could add color to your TV by putting those little gels with a red bar and a green bar and a blue bar on it.
Somebody made a bunch of money.
Oh man, it was disgusting. But hey, it was color TV for a while.
Well, I remember we got ours, but it was up and connected, and the tower was up on the roof of the house, and I spent the rest of the day watching the pattern. There was nothing on, right, until the news at 6 o'clock. Those great days. And now look at where we are now. Mm-hmm. Sure. Watching people around the world on satellite.
I know.
Pinpointed down there. Oh yeah, he lives. That's Ronnie Prophet's place right down there. It's only 3,000 miles down to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Times change.
But initially, your radio was battery operated.
Battery operated. Yep. Pick up what you could.
Yeah.
And later on, then I had the thrill of my lifetime because I ended up working on the WWVA Wheeling, West Virginia as a guest shot. Yes.
What year?
Oh, probably 1804. No, it was sometime, I guess, in the 70s. In there.
So you were living in the U.S.
I was living in Nashville, and of course, by living in Nashville, I had Ronnie Prophet's Carousel Club, and I was working Las Vegas. With Danny Thomas and doing all the television shows like Carson Show, Merv Giffen Show,
wow.
Mike Douglas Show,
Is that
David
right?
Frost, and I was with the William Morris Agency out of New York City. And of course, I would work the city, some of the nightclubs like downstairs at the Upstairs, which is right in Manhattan. Also worked Greenwich Village at the bitter end where Peter, Paul, and Mary started. But loved going to the West Coast. Shared the stage with Willie Nelson. Not Willie Nelson. The Nelson kid. The family.
Ricky Nelson.
Ricky Nelson, yeah. And at the Palomino Club. Would work Vegas and Tahoe and Reno. When the big guy was still alive. I was with Danny Thomas and was owned by Howard Hughes.
Is that right?
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he lived at the Desert Inn.
What a life.
Oh, I'll tell you. It just went on. When I left Quebec, Montreal, because I worked the clubs all through Montreal. Those were fun days. They really were, working all those little clubs.
So when you decided you picked up the guitar and you wanted to be a singer and player, and you were listening to CFRA, how did you get on the show? Did you call the station? Did they get a hold of you? How did that work?
I think we called to find out, do they have any guests? There was, like I say, there was Barry Alexander, my cousin, and I, and we said that we sing duets, and we went to the station. I think we auditioned for it.
Okay.
I had a D18 Martin guitar, and he had a mandolin. And we sang some of the gospel songs like Born Again, Free from Sin, all those old gospel things. Make him a soldier, him, make him a soldier, heed another call. No, I didn't do that then.
Not in those songs.
No, not on the gospel things. But yeah, big money, working Carlton Place on Saturday night. And I remember going across the street to see Elvis.
In Carlton Place.
In Carlton Place. He wasn't there, but they had a TV in a little coffee shop. And it was black and white, and Elvis was on the Tommy Dorsey show. And that changed everybody in show business life. Everybody who was in show business, saw Elvis, and that was unbelievable. I went back across the street, I couldn't believe what I saw. This guy that moved and he sang, and well, bless my soul, and he was just magic,
So
and they only showed him from the waist up.
What did that change as far as, did you make a decision there that, boy, this is what I want to do, or that I'm going to change my direction, or?
I looked at it as the sky's the limit, just go for it. I didn't want to, yes, I love my mom and everything, and it was great to live at home, and I was the only kid in school that had his own car. We were very, very fortunate, I was very fortunate. But at the same time, it wasn't a good thing for me to be a kid and be 16 and have his own car. Because I started bringing the kids to school. And the principal, Andy McGarrigle, was our principal. Well, I'm jumping all
remember all this stuff. I can't believe it.
Oh, I've lived a long time.
No, what to remember.
I was born very young. But Andy McGarrigle, and he was like a father to me, because my dad had died when I was just 7, you see. And so there was no man around that was an influence on me, but Andy McGarrigle, he probably heard me singing in the hallway, and there was Dougie Trenier and Alan Trenier, and they were playing music. I learned kind of off of them, playing guitar. But Andy put together a kazoo band. When you had the little horn and it had a piece of paper in it. And he would say, "It sounds great." And I remember I did a number by myself on stage. I had a big horn on the end of this kazoo, and I did whispering at the Christmas concert. But he would put his arm around you and say, "Okay, let me hear that song again." And I would sing, "Mammy, how I love you, my dear." I'd pretend I was
Al Jolson.
Al Jolson. Yeah, how do you remember that name? Yeah. So he was a great influence, and said, sing, get up on the stage, and say, you got to bow after you finish, say thank you to the audience, and be nice to them. And so there was a lot of training from this fellow, and he only had one arm. He was a farm boy that became the principal of the fashion but he had lost his arm in a fashion mill accident. But so there was all these great people around, and I wanted to be in show business, and I was not going to milk cows and for the rest of my life. Well, I got to tell you something what I used to do. And I don't care about it today, but I guess it was bad. But we would get and you farmers out there that listen to me, okay, maybe you've done this too, but we would get the milk test. And it would be like, I don't know exactly what it would be today, but it would be like 141, okay, would be the cream test or the butterfat test, or whatever it was. I can't remember now exactly. And then it would go down to 128 or something. And I would get mad because it was the difference in a check of, let's say, $125 versus $100. And that was for 2 weeks from 24 cows. That wasn't very much money, but we survived on it. And that would get me angry. So we shipped milk in the big old 8-gallon cans. And we'd be about 6 of them going out every day. And they wouldn't be full. And I'd take the water hose and just fill them all up to the top. because we were getting paid by quantity plus the value of them, right?
Right.
The butterfat, whatever the percentage was. And it didn't make any difference whether we were half full of water or fully full of milk. Got the same test. So just proved me one thing. They were doing something to us, then they deserved it back.
Exactly.
So,
So you were kind of the inventor of 1% and 2% milk before it even kind of became vogue. There you go.
Oh,
You
yes.
were way ahead of your time.
Yes, unless I drank too much milk. Yes, that was wonderful. Yes, I think I had all the echo and stuff when we started playing together
Yeah.
on the road shows.
Oh, yeah.
Those were factory made. And you see, in Montreal, there I was, had an experimental head. I mean, I'd listened to Les Paul and Mary Ford. And that intrigued me with the kind of sound that Les Paul was getting. And somebody that I met in a studio one time said, well, he gets that with tape. It's tape echo. And I said, what do you mean by that? He said, well, you get the sound goes onto the tape slides over to the playback head from the record head, and it's played back at the same time. And I said, ooh, but I've never seen a tape recorder I could do that with. He said, well, you rewire it. So I found myself an old tape recorder. It was an expensive one, because most tape recorders had one head. You recorded onto the tape with that one head, and when you switched it over, it went to playback head. You had just the one head, you see. And I found a professional tape recorder that had the one head for record, second head to play back on. And it had the third head, which is your erase head, it's a magnet. So I wired and soldered and burnt fuses and did all sorts of things. And then I found out, the first thing I found out was how to get the sound to go onto the tape. So I'd hit the note, and a split second later, it would come back off of the second head. So then I had to figure out how to wire it from the guitar to the amp first, so I get both sounds. Wow. And I finally got that done. And I used to draw pretty good. And when I got that guitar to do that sound with the echo on it, and I just blended it right in.
This was live you did?
This was live. Nobody had anything like that live. You couldn't buy one in the store. Here I had this great big tape recorder on the stage and with a blanket over top of it and running the large reels at the same time and getting this sound like Les Paul, like a... Now add echo to this and chick-a-tick, 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 double time, And nobody had an instrument sounding like that.
Did you ever record that stuff?
Oh, yes. Later on, then I ended up working and doing and demonstrating this stuff for Market Electronics out of Cleveland, Ohio. I used to go to the NAMM shows in L.A. and in Chicago and New York, and they would fly me all over the country, and I would demonstrate their equipment, which personally I had done the same thing, but, poor boy, country boy, don't know what it's like to publish an idea or copyright an idea.
Yeah.
So I just basically blew it away. Because I didn't have enough education. You remember there, kids? Get an education. Find out how to publish this stuff. Copyright it. Do it now.
Oh, yeah.
All of it was to raise money for St. Jude's Hospital. And out of all that fundraising, I ended up with 2 rooms in St. Jude's Hospital with my name on the door. A waiting room and a patient room.
So these weren't paying gigs?
No, didn't get a dime for it. They would cover, I would keep track of, tips for bellmen and tips for taxi cabs, and the airline fares would be sent to me. They'd pick me up with a limo and take me to the hotel. But we stayed at the Queen Elizabeth Hotel.
In Montreal.
In Montreal. And here I am. I had left Montreal working at the Monterey, which is held maybe 100 people. And the Queen Elizabeth was this huge big building where I was too shy to even go up and talk to the bellman, let alone think that one day I would be on the top floor in a suite, being looked after and doing a fundraiser with Danny Thomas in that building.
And remembering the apartment you'd lived in Montreal.
Oh,
One bedroom.
Well, in the late 50s, I would find the cheapest place in the world. I had a room one time. I went up and I had asked. There was knocked on the door, and a lady came and I said, how much is the room? She said, $7. I said, oh, I don't think I can, that's too expensive. She said, a week? Oh. It was $1 a night.
Wow.
Yeah, $1 a night. And the bathroom was down the hall. And her and her husband owned, it was a house, private house. And he was a bartender and she took in laundry. I could never leave a pair of socks or underwear out because
She washed
they'd come back at night and they'd be on the bed, dried. $7 a week. And then here.
To the Queen Elizabeth.
To the Queen Elizabeth. Amazing. It was just, wonderful thing. There was some good times in Vegas, for example. When I first went to Nashville, my first two heroes was, the first meeting of stars was Roger Miller and Mel Tillis.
Wow.
And they had come to Printer's Alley and saw me, and we started talking, and man, I'm standing next to Roger Miller, and I know Mel Tillis. Well, we had a few beers after the show. It was 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and we became friends. Well, then years later, you see, all of a sudden here I am working the scene in Las Vegas. And Roger Miller's working at the Landmark, which was also owned by Mr. Howard Hughes. So Roger and I, being old buddies, I would go over to see Roger. One night I walk in. Now, he had a great mind and sometimes an off-the-wall kind of humor. So I walk in one night, and he's got his ear against the wall, and I said, Roger, what are you doing? He said, come here, listen to this. I'm expecting something, right? And I put my ear against the wall, and I said, I don't hear a thing. He said, I know, it's been like that all day. But he's the one that, a lovely line, he's used to travel in his bus all the time, and they're going east through Oklahoma, and he gets out of his bunk, and it's like 6 o'clock in the morning, heading back to Nashville, and he comes out and he sits on that step. In all buses, you got the driver and the step, and he's sitting there looking, and the sun is just coming up over the rise. And he said, look at that. God has his headlights on. Wonderful line, huh? Anyhow, you got any ideas?
I was just thinking of gospel music because we did so many gospel songs on Family Brown Country, and we always did a couple when we did stage shows together back when we did that tour together in the 90s. And Dad loved to sing those too.
Let's pick a couple.
Okay. I'll do one, you do another one.
You do one and I'll do another. Okay, try it.
Will the circle... No?
Okay, I got an idea. Okay, go ahead.
Will the circle
fly
be
away,
unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a
when I die,
home
hallelujah, bye,
awaiting
bye.
in the sky, Lord, in
Fly
the
away.
sky.
Again.
Circle be
fly away, oh
unbroken
Lord,
by and by, Lord, by
fly
and by. There's a
when I die,
home
hallelujah, bye,
awaiting
bye.
in the sky, Lord, in
fly
the
away.
sky.
That was kind of fun. Which one were you doing?
I don't know. I was getting it mixed up, I think.
It don't matter. I kept flipping back and forth between harmony and the melody.
Where's Tommy Hunter when you need him?
Dans la province à Quebec, eh? It's the best I are.
Hey, we're heading up the, what used to be number 8 highway, but now it's 148. And we're going east. Now 7 kilometers, 3, 4, 6, 28. That'd be about 2 to 3 miles from here to Calumet. And around here it's farming country and logging and mining. Well, sometimes mining and yoring.
So was this highway here when you were a kid?
This highway was here and it was paved here. And we're coming to a spot over here where it was called the Montana Inn years and years ago. And the Montana Inn was a big nightclub. And they had entertainment from Montreal. Beautiful big club. This is the one of the. Actually, this is the first ridge that is part of the Laurentian Mountains, and so that the Ottawa River is on our right, and the Laurentian Mountains are on our left, and our old home place is up over this ridge and in a place that actually was called Bennett's Flats, and it should have been called Prophet's Flats because there was as many prophets living there as there were Bennetts. So,
But the Bennetts obviously had more firepower.
they were beside the road. Let's put it that way. But I'll show you
You
something.
got enough logs on that fire, Ronnie.
Yes,
You must be
there's-
from Branson or something.
Put another log on the fire. Yes, we're going down the road here. So,
Going down that long road again.
I was going to show you what Montana Inn was, but we've already passed it.
That's not there anymore.
No.
Is it long gone?
You can.
Was it a dance hall or something?
It was a strip club. It was a dance hall, and it went way back into the 40s and 50s. And it was also owned by some shady people from Montreal.
Aha.
Montreal is roughly 60 miles away from here, straight east. And
Mafioso?
yep, very much so. I don't know.
The Rouge River, huh?
The Rouge River means the Red River en anglais. And it's a very, as you can see to the left here with the falls and everything. But we're going to go by there later
Right.
on our trip today. We've got about another mile and a half, 2 miles, and we're going to come to Calumet so we can get a.
And when they say, where was Ronnie Prophet from? Calumet is the answer?
Yes, Calumet is the answer. I was born right across that river. It's about 2 miles across the river. The town is called Hawkesbury, Hawksbury, Hawkesbury, Ontario. And Smith's Hospital was the only hospital in the area in 1804. So
It was actually a veterinary service, right?
yeah, there was a local vet. It was me or the sheep. So, and I was born on the 26th of December. A very cold day, and 3 days later, Mom and Dad brought me back to the farm on the Kilmar Road.
Wow.
So, little history there. Kilmar Road was named after Kilmar Mines. There's a mining project that's been going on since the early 1900s.
What do they mine?
Copper and zinc, and also they make Canadian refractories make bricks that are sold all over the world. Okay.
Red
Yeah.
brick?
Red brick is correct. And it's made down the road here a few more miles. But right now, if you want to take a picture of Calumet, let's do that.
This is Calumet?
Okay. You don't want to tape it all, but
It's gonna go by quick, I got a feeling.
yeah. Uh-huh. This was the railway track. I don't know if trains come through here yet, but maybe. I don't know. I know one time I got caught coming over this track over here, which was a little road, and the universal joint in my 51 Pontiac broke, and I couldn't get off the track, and I heard the train coming, and I was able to push the car off of the track, and Mom was sitting in the passenger seat.
Oh.
Yeah, her name was Elsie Prophet. Hey, we're just about to enter the town, and
This will be a little rough now.
the Ottawa River is about a few hundred feet away from us on the right-hand side. Unfortunately, the road is not a super highway. It's always been like this. This is Calumet. Not much here, but
Can you slow down just a little bit?
yes, I'm going to slow down. Yeah, boy, already we've been together for 20 minutes.
I'm telling you how to drive.
This is the baker. Tony the baker. He's passed away now. And there's actually 2 streets. This is the main street. And there's another half a street, because the houses are only on one side, on the other side of the railroad tracks. And I just drove through a stop sign. Barbershop used to be here, and he's gone now. And believe it or not, the town, I don't know if it has, used to be a population of about 200-300. And there was 2 hotels, 2 beer parlors, as you might call them. Over there on the left is the old train station.
What was the line here? Was it a Canadian National or CPR?
It was CPR.
It was CPR.
Yeah, and that's where the and you see the ridge behind it now. You can see the ridge. That runs up 900 feet, and on the very other side of that ridge, it drops down to about 700 feet, and that's where, in that valley, is where our home farm. It's still there, and
So you used to ride your bicycle into town here?
not too much, because the hill was very steep. It really was not something that you'd take off and come into town. It was close enough, but coming down was great. Going back up was just atrocious. And of course, every small town had a great big Catholic church, and there it is in our town. And we're almost at the other end of Calumet now. There's not much left of it.
Is this where the Greyhound?
This is where the Greyhound bus stops and the dog gets off and goes to the bathroom. Now, folks, that's just a joke, okay? Reeves's garage right here, and this is the post office to my left. And
Do you know any of these guys?
maybe. I wouldn't recognize them. And I don't know who that is, really. I don't. This Mrs. Robinson lives here, and Mrs. Murphy, who just passed away at age 97, lived in that house right there, and she was my school teacher.
Did they save the
Yeah.
baby?
And
that old joke?
Mrs. Robinson, yeah.
Passed away nice.
That's not fair. And not much left. There was a hockey rink over here.
Did you play hockey?
I wasn't very good at sports. I was very good at, by the way, this is Wendell Boyd's garage here. And his son and I, Jimmy, were best of friends in school. And Jimmy went into the hotel business later on in life. And we're passing the graveyard on right in front of you. Turn that old camera around and you've got
I'm
the
gonna
graveyard.
take this down here.
You want that down?
Yeah, please.
Down like this. This is my mother and father are both buried in this graveyard.
Do you want to stop and just go in?
If you like.
Sure, I'd love to.
Well, here it is. And it says Prophet, in loving memory of Victor L. Prophet, died November the 15th, 1945, okay? Age 58 years old, so he really wasn't that old. And this is my mom, Elsie Mary Gawley was her maiden name. She died in 1972, August the 8th. She was 72 in 1972, born in 1900. Anyhow,
She's your guardian angel?
yeah, she's my guardian angel. She's with me all the time. Yep. And we're related to the Cooks, to the Gawleys. You know, we're a small community, small area. Okay, we're leaving out of Calumet now, and you just saw a sign there that says Kilmar. Well, you have to take the Kilmar Road to get up to the old farm. And roughly about 4 miles from here to the farm, but don't hold me to that. And it's all mountain all the way up. You can just see how steep it is.
Yeah, I can set it on here. It'd be a little better.
Yeah.
This, I mean, we only take snippets of this stuff anyway.
I know, yeah.
Just some B-roll.
But at least
Every road in Quebec is like this, though.
But you haven't.
They don't
See,
even have signs.
This is new. And there's a guy over here. You got to take a picture of this.
Oh yeah, this is good.
Now this guy here has been putting rocks together for years. I mean, look at this. Take a look at that. I'll drive slow just so you can see. I don't even know what his name is, but we're not too far from our farm. And he's got every boulder and rock within 20 miles, and he's made all these decorative things in his yard. Hey, it's his hobby, I guess, so.
He rocks.
He rocks, I'll tell you, one of the early rockers. Let's go. There's not much to see from here up, but just. Now we're about to start where it gets a little curvy. Look at this curve over here, and you can see what I'm talking about, because the corners going back here all the way to Kilmer are all just about like this. And it's, well, you could be in West Virginia, or you could be in Missouri in the Ozarks, but it's round curves and up over hills and down into little valleys, and it's just absolutely gorgeous country with all these beautiful pine trees and maples, and in the fall it's just like a movie when you drive through here. Maybe I'm a little prejudiced. I love where I came from, and I love the land, I love the people, and this will always be home, and I'm proud of where I come from. That always touches my heart. And as a kid, well, a lot of these trees were just shrubs as a youngster. We're coming to our corner, so let's get a shot of where we're going to be turning into the old farm here. Okay? We're going to be turning right, and if you get that post, you'll see what they've called the road. Now, it'll be in French, but it says Prophet. We'll get the windshield wiper clean here. See? There we go. Prophet Est. In French, that means, well, you see, CH period. That means
Chemin.
chemin, yeah, meaning road. Prophet Est, E-S-T. And that's where we're going down the dirt road to the right. And we'll go in now.
You must be famous. Get a street
And
named there.
now, if you, here we'll get the one. Too bad it's raining, but those buildings that you see the top of the barns and the house, that's the farm we're going to, across these fields. And this is the valley. I wish it was in the
I
summertime.
should just get out for a second, Ronnie, and get a... Can you back up to the stop
I
sign?
certainly can.
Because while that sun's out, it's going to be magnificent.
Now look at that. I mean, how many people have a road named after their family name? That says Chemin Prophet Est, meaning road, Prophet Road East. And if you look further on, those top of those buildings, that's our old homestead, our old farm, and that basically is almost in the middle of this whole valley. That ridge over there, that goes down about 900 feet, and at that point you're actually in Calumet. So we're only a few miles from the town, but the way you have to drive, it's about 5 miles the round trip. Let's go and see the farm. Come on. Let's roll. By the way, on our right here is Pete Bennett's Swamp, and I used to have a little .22 rifle, and I'd come out here and shoot partridge in the swamp. Every Saturday morning I'd come out here and come home with 1 or 2 partridge. cook them up. Nothing like it. And we're almost to the corn to turn into the farm. So let's get ready over here. We're going to make we could tilt this car, you know. We'll stop on the corner. We just kind of take a panoramic view of the place. And a lot of it is growing up. There's some of the farms. And let's get out here and just kind of take some. Carrying okay?
Yeah. You don't have to talk loud at all.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to point out, this tree was never there, and so I'm trying to think. Let's get a place where we can talk about the valley. God, you can't even see the barn see, these trees were never here. But just kind of pick it up over here.
Okay, now.
Tell you what, now if you look over that side over there, over that ridge is where Calumet is, the town, and where those barns are, that's the Bennett family. Behind these bushes over here that have grown up since I was a kid, John Prophet, Cousin John, that's where they farmed. And then the flats, the center section, is all of our old home place here. We're standing on our property here. And these are the barns. And we're going to take some closer look at them. They weren't like this when I was a kid. They actually had roofs that didn't leak. So, and on my left here is the concession road that runs into the farm. And we'll go down to the house and we'll visit. There might be somebody there today. Maybe there's not a soul. But anyhow, we'll see where the kid grew up. Well, I never really did grow up, but come on, let's take another bit of this going home trip underhand here.
Yeah.
Okay, and you can hear me?
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to do is going to take my jacket off
Sure.
and put it in the car. As a kid, there actually was 4 big trees here, and I planted those 4 trees there, those spruce trees, and they were just little things about 4 feet high, and I was probably about 16, 17 years old at the time, and look at them now. I mean, those things are 30 feet high.
Okay.
As a kid, I planted these trees that we're looking at here in the background, and they were like 3-4 feet high when I put them in the ground. And look at them now. They're 25 and 30 feet tall. Magnificent, just magnificent. And the old trees that were by the house, they're gone. But this was the old original homestead that was built actually in the 1800s. And the main part of the house was logs if you were inside it. And many's a afternoon or evening I would sit out on this porch practicing my guitar, learning my songs, dreaming of going to the Grand Ole Opry or WWVA, Wheeling, West Virginia. And
You get them on radio?
yeah, we got a clear channel here. Every Saturday night. We actually get it better in the car, especially if we drove to a ridge or get a high spot, because if you got down in a gully going back to places like Harrington, you'd lose the station. So, look at the old, this is all the same posts and everything. There's been a new front porch put on it, and a huge big tree that was over here on the right hand side, and my bedroom was up on this section of the house, and a lot of times I'd crawl out the window and clamber down the tree to what a kid will do, you know, that's just the way it was. Let's get some pictures of the old barn, which in those days we had full of cattle, horses, pigs, chickens, at least 100 chickens, probably 60, 70 pigs. I see the old pig barn is still here. So let's go take some pictures over by there. Well, here's the barns. And
You give me a little more volume, Ronnie?
okay.
No, just talking wise. I'm not using that anymore.
All right. Well, this is the barns and what they look like today. Nothing like what they were back in the 50s and 60s when I got the urge to leave the farm, go to Montreal, and get into the business. Let's get over here a little bit away from behind these posts.
Yeah.
And let me just just tell you that the cow milking stable was in here, and this main section that's got the walls all fallen out of it, that was the hay barn, and the horses were kept in the far end. And if we come over to the left over here behind these trees, which weren't there then, that was the pig stables. And as you can see, if we can do a panoramic view down through here, that's all our property down through this center of this valley. And now the neighbors had bought it years ago, and now it's just a lot of good memories.
Not bad, eh?
Yeah.
The adventures you had in them fields.
Yeah. The adventures I had in those haymows up there. Yeah. After the chores were done in the mornings, I grabbed the guitar, come out here and sit and practice all my songs. And in the evening, the same thing. As soon as the chores were done, Mom would be in the house cooking breakfast or getting ready for dinner. Here I was trying to learn how to play like Chet Atkins.
I bet you didn't pick like that when you were a kid.
I hope not.
What was your first song?
Oh gosh, actually my first song was It's the Woody Woodpeckers.